was attacked by a prolonged fit of sneezing. People with head colds may sneeze 10 or 15 times a day. "Or 50," said the doctor. "Or 50," echoed the King again, shaking his head, for he was torn between paternal love and kingly duty. "Imagine 50 enchantments in a day! By eventide the whole kingdom would be upset, undone, and the peoples plotting a revolution." "The tower on Golden Mountain is in a fine, healthful locality," said the doctor, "and the Prince could be brought up as happily there as in the palace." So at length the Queen consented. In a few days the little Prince, who had not sneezed a second time, was removed to the tower on the Golden Mountain. His room, designed by Dr. Pill, was completely protected from draughts, and every breath of air that entered it was sterilized. Mrs. Pill, who had been a hospital nurse, took care of him. 3 times a week, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, his royal parents rode out to the tower, and after putting on germ-proof garments, were admitted to the nursery of their infant son. And so the years went by. Nobody was found able to break Malvolia's spell, and the clue to its undoing had been carried away by the wind. Malvolia herself had disappeared. The Prince became a handsome little boy. Accomplished teachers taught him history, music, drawing, dancing, and all the other things that a prince ought to know. But of real life he knew almost nothing at all. His most faithful friend during these lonely years was a French poodle, who spoke both French and English exceedingly well. Of course, he had a marked canine accent, rather growling his G's and howling the A's and the O's, but his words were well chosen and his vocabulary extensive. Never was seen a more friendly, wise, and devoted animal. When the King decided to have him sent away for a while, for he feared that his son was getting a touch of Poldo's barky manner of speaking from too close an association, the little Prince became really ill from grief, and the King was forced to alter his decision. During his imprisonment in the tower, in spite of all precautions, the Prince sneezed 3 times. At the first sneeze, all the dogs in the kingdom, except Poldo, changed into cats, and all the cats into dogs. Though this was not a serious trouble, the change was certainly inconvenient. All the dog-cats came out meowing at people as the dogs used to bark at them, and they chased people down the street. The cat-dogs, on the other hand, stayed in the kitchen under the stove and watched for mice in the pantry. Great St. Bernards might be seen licking their paws and rubbing them over their foreheads, and fat old cat lap-dogs used to try to purr. At the second sneeze, all the elderly gentlemen over 70 changed into elm trees, a proceeding that caused a terrible lot of trouble. At the third sneeze, all the people in the pictures at the Royal Art Museum became alive, and for a week the soldiers of the Royal Guard spent most of their time rescuing poor bewildered fawns, satyrs, nymphs, Roman senators, and long-dead celebrities and historical personages from the worst destitution. The King finally had to build a special castle for them. As the Prince's 21st birthday drew near, he began to feel very sad at the idea of having to stay shut up in the tower all his life. Though he was a very brave and very manly young man, he lay down on his couch and wept in sorrow. Suddenly, standing with his forepaws on the coverlet, "Why do you weep, dear master?" said the little dog. "At my fate," replied the poor Prince. "I cannot bear to think that I may have to spend all my days in this tower and never see the great wide world." The poodle was silent for a few minutes. At length he said, Dear Prince Rollander, do not give up hope. Have you ever thought of consulting my old master, the giant of the North Pole? He has a large chest in his palace full of secrets which the winds have overheard, and perhaps the key to Malvolia's spell is among them. If you will have a warm fur coat and 4 fur boots made for me, I will go to the giant and ask him." The Prince gave his consent, and on the next day the royal tailor made the poodle a magnificent sealskin coat and 4 splendid fur-lined boots. Then the King wished him good speed. The Queen cried over him, and the Prince, who could see from his high tower every corner of the kingdom, watched him till he disappeared over the hills and far away. Straight north the poodle ran. Soon he had left the fertile plains behind him and entered great, black pine forests where never a road was to be seen. The cold wind howled through the trees, and at night the brilliant stars sparkled over the dark and waving branches. Hungry wolves and savage bears often pursued him, but somehow he always managed to escape them all. At the end of the forest he found the frozen ocean lit by the shuddering light of the aurora, flashing in a great fan from east to west. Past white-tusked walruses and sleepy penguins he flew, till on the 11th day he saw the green icy pinnacles of the giant's palace against the waving curtain of the polar lights. On the evening of the 12th day he entered the castle. The giant of the North Pole was a tall, strong, yellow-haired fellow wearing a crown of ice and a great sweeping mantle made from the white fur of the polar bear. His servants were the gusts, strange, supple, shadowy creatures moving quickly to and fro, and from his courtiers were the whirlwinds and the storms. The giant's wife sat by his side. She had dark hair and eyes of icy, burning blue. "Welcome, little Poldo," said the giant, and his voice sounded like the wind in the tree-tops. "What seek you here?" "I seek some words of the fairy Malvolia, which were carried by the northeast wind at Prince Rolandor's christening," replied the poodle. "Whew! Oh!" whistled the giant of the North Pole. "If I have them, the words are yours." He summoned 2 gusts to bring forth the chest of secrets. It was made of black stone and edged with diamonds of ice. In it were stored all the mysteries which the wind had ever overheard. There were secrets, confessions, vows, merry laughs, and simple words. And sure enough, in the corner of the chest lay the rest of Malvolia's spell, a row of little, old-fashioned, dusty words. The words, "Until he finds someone brave enough to marry him." So the good poodle learned the words by heart, thanked the giant, and hurried home with the message. When he came to the King's palace he ran, barking with joy, right into the King's own room. There he saw the unhappy parents. "Have you found the last of the sentence?" cried the Queen. "Yes," said Poldo. "The spell will end when the Prince marries." That very evening the King and Queen sent forth ambassadors to ask for the hand of the loveliest princess of all Fairyland, Princess Editha of the Adamant Mountains. But so afraid was Editha of being turned into something else that she refused the offer. The King and Queen then made a request for the hand of Princess Alicia of the Crystal Lakes. But Alicia also was afraid of being turned into something else, and she too refused the alliance. So did the Princess of the Golden Coasts, the Princess of the 7 Cities, and many others. Finally, the only princess left in all Fairyland, was a princess